Ladies and gents, what if I told you there's a way to get hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of credits very easily in Starfield, and not just that, buy literally every ship from the vendors and still get your money back. So this glitch was discovered by a different YouTuber. You will of course find the link to their video down below, but I went ahead and tested all of this up to see what we can do to make the most out of it, and let me tell you, we can do quite a bit, so let's dive right in. So for this glitch, we're going to basically steal the money from this vendor right here, and for some reason Bethesda chose to place all the money we ever spent on any vendor in a separate chest that is literally clipped beneath that vendor in every single map. In the case of this one, you're probably looking at anywhere between 50 to 100,000 credits, depending how much you spend on this vendor buying ships and whatnot, but basically the same goes true for every single vendor in Starfield. So for this to work, we're going to have to clip beneath the map, and the best way to do so is going to be in the commercial district right here on New Atlantis. Now, you don't even need anything special to make this work, maybe with the exception of having some healing packs with you, because there's going to be a phase in which we're going to be drowning and we do want to survive that, but like 5-10 max should be more than enough. Even the jetpack that you use doesn't have to be super upgraded. Having like level 2 boost pack should be plenty enough to go through the entire zone and reach the areas we need to reach. So from this point on, what we're going to do is take it to the right of the spawn point in the commercial district, and our goal here is to just make our way down below these buildings in the background on the other side of this waterfall slash dam area. So yeah, this is what I'm going to do right now. Now, if you ever played any previous Bethesda games, you kind of already know that clipping through maps and going beneath buildings and such is a great way to glitch your way through a lot of things. Of course, Starfield is no exception. Now, once you reach to this side, this is basically where we're gonna try to be, and this water pond area right here is the one beneath which we want to get to. So yeah, we're not gonna swim through it from this point. Instead, we're going to make it way into the back of this building right here, over the other side of these pillars of sorts. Not sure exactly how you call these, but basically onto this last structure right here. Now, from this point on, we're going to try to just jump down. There are a couple of ledges here that we can just drop to, so be careful, don't fall below this one, otherwise you have to restart. Now, from this point on, we're going to try to squeeze through this gap, and the best thing to do is go first person mode, jump in, and you should easily reach the other side. Now, this is going to be quite easy here. There will be a slight invisible wall that will prevent your movement going forward. However, if you just go down a little bit into this smaller pond right here, eventually you should find a gap just as you reach the edge of that pond. So yeah, just like in this case, as you can see, we easily passed that. Now, from this point on, we're going to just stop around this place, and I suggest you immediately go and do a quick save, just in case something horribly wrong happens and you have to restart. You don't want to go all the way back to the whole zone. So that's exactly what I'm going to do, and from this point on, you can just make your way up, jump, and you will hear your character making a splash sound. That's because we just entered that body of water I just talked about, and we're going to try to reach again the other side of it. Now, from this point on, your aim is that beneath the big rock over there in the background that you see, we're going to try to aim beneath that rock. Otherwise, this isn't going to work and we will just get stuck in the walls. So that's why in this case, I highly encourage you to start using your jetpack thrusters so that you can get to that area a lot faster. Now, at some point, you're going to notice your character starting to drown, and this is where those med packs come into play. We're going to try to spam a few of these so that we can keep up our HP and basically not fall to our death. But if you did all of this the right way, you're going to reach just beneath this rock, or even if you hit that small slope over there, it's going to still force your character beneath it, which is exactly where we want to be. Now, from this point on, we just have one final section, which is also quite easy, and that is by squeezing through this last gap right here, which is also going to completely get us out of the water. So your aim here is to get to this final ledge, or you can also go straight to the above section of it, but if you don't, or if you miss it, you can just jump and your character will immediately grab it. Now, there's one final method here that you will want to do, a bit of a trick here before we reach the final area with the items. But yeah, just jump down again, and there's going to be one final wall that we need to climb. So aim it right beneath this building right here. And from this point on, the only thing you have to do is to climb up this wall, which you do by just jumping once and then trying to sprint on it. Don't even use your jetpack, just sprint, and this will make your character climb it automatically as if you were like Spider-Man and whatnot. And this is the exact area we want to be in. There are going to be 3 chests in here filled with loot as well as money that are going to give us all the things that we need. So the first one is going to be right at the cafe right here beneath the same vendor that does sell you the coffee and the stuff and everything from it. It does have some credits in it, so you can just go ahead and steal this outright. Maybe even get yourself a couple of lattes if you want to. Might as well just do it after all of this trouble. Now, the next one is going to be the mercantile, the same one we used to buy all of our crafting materials to funnel into research projects. This is where you will find your secret stash as well as a bunch of other items and weapons, so you can again steal them. However, do keep in mind that they can be quite heavy, so don't get more than you need to. And no, it doesn't matter if you steal these or not, as long as you stay hidden, nobody will notice you, as yeah, the wall just prevents them from seeing you in the first place. So I haven't encountered any issues stealing the entire stash outright. And once you got a hold of that, the only one remaining is right back at the vendor from the starship. So you can just follow your way back at the landing zone. It's essentially going to also have one of these like checkpoints in case you do have to go back to your ship to a different system. You can easily spot it and just go back at the runway. Now, from this point on, you're still going to try to not exit this terrain. You're still going to try to stay beneath it because, as you can see, this vendor also has its own stash, its shop service, well, crates below it with, in my case, 58,000 credits. Now, for you, it could be a different sum like 70,000 or 100,000 or however much you have spent on this vendor right here. So even if you go and sleep for days at a time, it's not going to reset that cash anymore, and you can no longer get it multiple times from the same chest. For example, here's one of these runs. I went back and basically tried doing this after sleeping for like 3 or 4 days in game, and the stash was pretty much empty. And the reason for that is because this, as I've said, only takes the money that you spend on this vendor pretty much from the entire lifetime of you playing the game. So from the very first moment you spend money on this vendor, it's going to go into this stash right here. But what this means is that we can abuse this to basically buy all of the ships that this vendor right here sells, and also get the entire sum of money we spent on it back into our pockets, which is where this whole glitch comes into play and kind of becomes complete in giving you everything that you absolutely need. So let me show you an example. Let's say I just got my money back, I have a few 100,000 credits, and I want to spend them on a bunch of really cool ships, which this vendor sells for quite a bit of cash, like 130,000, and a few of them can even go beyond that. So I will just buy as much of it as I can afford. So in this case, as you can see at the top, we just spent about 270,000 credits on this vendor to buy these 2 ships. So if I go back and glitch through the map, you will see that the stash now holds the exact sum of money, that 270,000 that we spent on the 2 ships that we just bought. But guess what? Those ships are now in my inventory, and they will remain there for pretty much until I sell them again. But I can steal this money with no repercussion, which means I just got a bunch of ships for absolutely free. And I think that's really awesome, because this is going to let you cheat your way through the game without having to use any console commands and just like not waste any achievements. You can do this very easily by just clipping it this way. And because we just spent all of that money and got it back, this means we can go ahead and spend it again on the remaining ships, should the vendor still have any. And yes, they do, because I think that there are about 10 or 12 ships that this one sells right here. So if you rinse and repeat this, you can buy all of the ships and get 10 of them in your fleet pretty much, well, very early on. I'm not sure exactly how early, but it's like not too long into the game. 10, 15, 20 hours, you can probably do this very easily. So yeah, it's a bit sad if you think about it. The guy probably thinks he just struck a really good deal, unloaded his entire stash, doesn't have to sit here all day long. But in reality, he's now left without any money and without any inventory to sell. So he's kind of like, yeah, in a really bad spot. But I guess that's the way it is in Starfield universe. If you don't pay attention to your money, you kind of tend to lose it. But now I have all of this money, my original sum, the one coming from the vendor stash, like 50 to 70k, plus his whole inventory of ships that I can now offload and sell to any other vendor in the galaxy. So let's say, for example, I go to Aquila City. There's going to be a different vendor over here that also has its own stash. So the money here isn't yet compromised. What I can do is just go ahead, go into his inventory, sell all of my items, and as you can see, I can easily clear out his 70k credits that he already has by default. So I can basically offload all of these very quickly and get a bunch of money on top. So that is really not bad for just a few hours of work. We basically got all of this, and we can also keep any of the ships that we find really good. Like if you go with Galileo, it's a really good one to have, very spacious and has a ton of things inside to enjoy and not have to waste any additional money to buy one. But this concludes our today's video, ladies and gents. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.